Is Lorelia coming to you today with a video about credit card approvals in 2023. Now, just so I just give some type of frame of reference, as I film this video, it is currently 2022 in December, and we are days away from 2023. But the reason why I titled it 2023 is because in this video, I want to talk about things to expect when it comes to the landscape of personal credit and getting credit card approvals. In my last video, I talked about funding frustrations. If you're not familiar with me on this channel, I primarily talk about business credit and personal credit, primarily for real estate investors. But today, my topic is going to be about credit card approvals. Now, I know it's been a while since I've talked about basic credit card approvals, but I think that this video is necessary to discuss because of what is currently going on in the future. And so, as I film this video, I know that years from now, I'm going to be able to look back as well as, so many other topics that I've did and really say that I'm a person who tried to tell people that the things and the landscape of the credit industry has changed. And what do I mean by that? In my last video, when I talked about funding frustrations, I talked about what credit card companies are doing to be able to prevent fraud. I gave you a little snippet of that whole scenario, but I am now going to lay out the whole story for you because this is something that I have dealt with. That's why when I tell people when it comes to funding, this is something that I do. This is not something that I've listened to another YouTuber or another credit guru talk about, and I am not doing it myself. So when it comes to funding, when it comes to credit, this is what I do. So I recently um, applied for a credit card early part of December. Remember in the beginning of this video, I said, as I filmed this video, we're at the end of December. Now, let me tell you, right now, the um, the what people are doing in terms of being able to access credit, to me, it's really it's sad because mark my word, in a few years, a lot of people are going to get caught in money laundering charges. And what you cannot prevent is no human is smarter than AI. I don't care what YouTuber, what influencer, what business credit guru you are watching. Understand that none of those individuals are smarter than AI. And what do I mean by that? The days are gone where you are going to just trick out on credit. What you have right now, you have a lot of people who will tell you, and I'm going to talk about business credit, but I'm going to get back to my story, that if you get business credit in an LLC, and as long as it's not under your personal name, in the event that you are unable to pay for it or whatever charge or whatever situation you want to say, you can be able to do any, I want to say, fraudulent strategy that's out there in the marketplace, and then rinse and repeat, get rid of that credit and rinse and repeat. And I'm here to tell you, credit card companies are watching. So if you follow that advice, you've did it, understand you may have had that opportunity to get that to work for you in the past, but them the strategies are not going to work going forward in the future. AI it has the ability to know everything that you're doing. So going back to me, filled out a credit card application on my phone, And of course, um, wasn't automatic approved. I understand how automatic approval works, underwriting. I've talked about it before on this channel. Um, the response and the note that was on the computer, which is my phone, when I applied for the credit card, said that we need to identify your identity. So it wasn't a case of I was denied or approved. They just said they wanted to be able to identify who I was. I did it on the weekend, so I know banks aren't open. So that Monday I called, and when I called, and I may have shared this in the last video, they wanted to verify my identity. Now, remind you, uh, telephone lines are recorded. So, of course, they asked a series of questions of who I am. Did I fill out the credit card information? Asked me my name, number, phone number, address, the whole nine. Keep in mind, like I said, AI is watching. So the person tells me, on the other side, now remind you, I'm alarmed because I'm saying to myself, okay, did I get got? Because I'm like, this is what I do. So I thought it was strange that I wasn't really alarmed of me calling the credit card company. But what I was alarmed with that, and this is what I forgot to share, the number was to the fraud department. So the number that they wanted me to call was to the fraud department. So I'm calling ABC Credit Card Company and it directly takes me to the fraud department. So the fraud department is asking me these series of questions. Follow me as I go on. I answer the questions. Of course, I understand telephone lines are recorded. Didn't think much of it. Person said, you know, thank you. Um, if we need any further information, you can go to the nearest. Now, once again, this is a tier one bank. If you're not familiar with tier one banks, in no Pacific order, top tier one banks are Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America. So, of course, they're all over the country. And I'm not going to say which one it was, but they said that if we need further identification of who you are, please go to that nearest branch. Didn't think much of it. Days went by, and about a week later, I get a letter in the mail because I'm saying to myself, okay, did I get got? Because this has never happened to me. Calling the fraud department. But as soon as I applied, a few hours later, I got the ding from FICO. So I knew it was legit. So I knew there wasn't some phishing site that appeared as the credit card company, but somewhere or the other, my identity got stolen. So I'm saying, okay, FICO has notified me that um, someone has, that I recently applied for something. So I wasn't alarmed. But a week later, a letter comes in the mail, says the same thing. Recently applied on this date, want to be able to identify who you are. And if you don't respond by a particular date, we're going to consider this application null and void. Didn't think nothing of it. Called the number, they said the same thing. Asked me a series of questions. Remember, telephone lines are recorded. Asked me a series of questions, wanted to identify who I was or what have you. I answered the questions with no problem. Didn't think much of it. So the person tells me, okay, um uh are you at the nearest branch for this particular card? And I'm like, no, I'm home. I'm on the phone. And they told me, okay, well, the next time go to the nearest branch and give them a form of ID and let them know that you are identifying yourself for this credit card approval. Once again, real strange, but I'm like, okay, I know I didn't get got because I got a legitimate letter in the mail. FICO told me that the particular company pulled my credit report, but this is strange. And keep in mind, I'm still talking to the fraud department, just so you know. So Few days later, few days later, I go to no, no, the next day, I go to the particular bank. And before I go inside, I call again and they ask me a series of questions. Now, remind you, we on round three. Series of questions, wanted me to identify who I was. And then they told me, okay, based on this information, there's no need for you to go to the particular branch to identify yourself. We see that you are who you say you are. We just wanted to be able to identify that you are who you say you are. This wasn't an application of fraud. No, it wasn't. Were you the person who applied for the credit? Yes, I was. Remind you, all that information is documented. Now, of course, the card came. But before the card came, let me tell you the two things that arrived first. One, I got a text notification telling me the approval had went through. Still no card. On top of that, I got an email that said it got approved, but still no card. The card did not come in until 2 days ago. But before then, correspondence saying I had got approved, as well as email, because those are the things they asked me over the phone. Why do I say this to you all, ladies and gentlemen? Understand, artificial intelligence is watching. It is present. It knows what you are doing. There is not no strategy in the world that is going to save you going forward in 2023 and beyond. The fraudulent tactics that are being taught out there in the marketplace, and I share this with you to let you know, are going to get you in a jam. And I get it. I know a lot of people aren't going to take this video seriously because they're going to feel like, well, that's just what you went through. That's not the case. All I'm saying is that they are going to there are measures that are going to be put in place to be able to identify who you say you are is who you are. And in the event that you are unable to pay that debt and that credit that you got access to, and you try to use fraud as a strategy, because right now in the marketplace, fraud is considered a credit um repair strategy. It's not a strategy that I've ever taught people, but it's a strategy that is out there. So that's why you have people who will teach you how to accumulate all this credit, how to get all this debt. And then in the event that you can't pay for it in your LLC, what you're going to let it do is it's going to charge off, and then you're going to be able to say, oh, it was fraud, and then rinse and repeat. And there are some people even doing it with your personal credit. But I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in 2023, a lot of changes are going to happen when it comes to credit card approvals and AI from 2023 and beyond. The credit system as we know it 3 years, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, is changing. It is evolving. Be very careful of the tactics and the strategies that people are teaching you that may land you behind bars. Now, I know it is not very popular to share with people, but I'm a big advocate of slow and steady wins the race. Because my thing is this: if you are an adult over the age of 35 and you know that you've been tricking off, I've said this before in many videos, you've been tricking off on your credit for 20 years, for 15, for 10, why all of a sudden at the age of 40 plus years old, you are now in the urgent need of needing credit? And now you are willing to do anything and everything to get your piece of the pie. Be very careful with that. I'm here to tell you, be very careful, because billions and billions of dollars, banking institutions, are putting towards fraud activity. That that whole money laundering law that they are putting in place with that has started with the PPP as well as bank fraud and all this other stuff, it's going to land a lot of people in jail. I mean, we're seeing it right now in front of our face with PPP. I know you got this person, reality star. I can't think of his name, but him and his wife are about to do some major time. Reality star, can't think of his name. Oh, Christy something. I didn't watch the show, but apparently his name is Christy something. About to do some major time because of fraud. Him, his wife, and his account. His account was in it. Then it's also a case of some rappers, a girl and a guy or whatever, new rappers based out in the Detroit area. They've got caught with fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, getting access to 10, 15, maybe 20 or $25,000, it ain't worth it. Hey, I help people get up to six figures in funding and credit to leverage for real estate. But at the end of the day, it doesn't require anyone to do anything illegal. Now, is it going to take work? Yeah. And for some people, that work can take longer than others. But this is what I assure people, that if you learn the framework, and that is what I teach people. I teach people how to put a funding framework in place with their real estate business so they can get access to funding. Because the fastest way to get business funding is to leverage your personal credit. A lot of people don't like to hear that. They want to hear what they want to hear. The two cannot be separated from one another, and it definitely can't be separated from the business owner who will have no business revenue. And I know I don't want to make this a video on business credit, but the two are hand in hand. Although I'm talking about credit card approvals, whether they're personal or business, but understand the two are hand in hand. And my case in point with the whole thing is, it's not worth it. $25,000, six figures in funding, 75,000, the list goes on and on, is not worth you lying or doing anything that's going to get you in a jam. Because I've said this before, many of the people who are teaching people these strategies, they may have the resources to be able to pay counsel to help them. You, on the other hand, don't. And I've said this in other videos. Many people right now, they got pages and pages of notes when it comes to funding and business credit and real estate. But the thing is, the disconnect between them pages of notes they have is the ability to be able to execute on all that. Because it's easy for someone to give you a whole bunch of information and people screaming, gems, gems, game, they giving me game, but now you don't know how to execute on it. And you can't even go to the person who gave you them gems and them games and say, who are the lenders that I need to talk to? What relationships do you have for me to be able to execute the pages and pages of notes that you have? And that is why I'm saying, in regards to credit card approvals and AI in 2023 and beyond, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Like I said, that phone number that was on that computer screen when I applied took me directly to the fraud department of that bank. The letter that I got in the mail that said, call this number, it's the fraud department of that bank. See, me, I know I ain't committing no fraud. I ain't doing anything to get me in no jam. I love freedom. So that is all that I have. I just wanted to share that because I did say in the last video, although I was talking about funding frustrations, but I brought that into the story of what I was talking to. I wanted to give an update so people will know, like, wow, Big Brother's watching, you know, telling you the strategies and tactics that you may were able to do pre-COVID, pre-2020, they ain't gonna go, they're not gonna work now. The same thing that happened in 2008. And I'm gonna leave that for a separate video. In 2008, when the recession happened, Dodd-Frank was created. A lot of things changed in the banking industry. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Leave me your thoughts. Leave me a comment under this video. Let me know if you've seen anything strange when it comes to you seeking credit card approvals currently in 2022, or if you see this in 2023 or beyond, let me know your thoughts. Okay, this is Aurelia. All my links will be below this video.